Okay,
You're right now in Chile, yeah?
in Chile. I am in Chile, in Puerto Varas.
Yeah, okay. Boris, how I introduce you?
How you introduce me? As a potato lover, yeah?
Perfect.
A potato lover that works with uh, inbreeding using the native potatoes of Chile.
Mhm. Boris, if we speak about your love for potato, when you start love your potato? When you're so
When
younger?
when I was child, yeah, my father was a potato teacher and researcher in the university. He was passionate in potato, and he began to look for the native potatoes we had in Chile. And he began to characterize and search in all the islands in the ocean the wild potatoes, and he began to talk with international researchers about this germoplasm. And finally, he could discover, and that is now known, that these native potatoes did build the new type of potatoes that we are now using. So, the all South America, you find potatoes in all South America, but not all these potatoes can be used, for example, in Russia or in Europe, only a few ones. Even some botanists from Russia, from the Soviet unit in the past, did come to Chile, and they found these potatoes that were very similar to the type of potatoes that were grown in Russia. So, having that in mind, and having in mind that in South America you find different types of potatoes, and potatoes is native from South America, our potatoes in Chile were natural selected for daylands, so these potatoes can be used in Europe, in Russia, in the US, and not the potatoes from Peru. That means that our stuff, very isolated one, because was discovered now and that research was done 20 years ago only, yeah? Our isolated potatoes, selected by our local farmers, is a new stuff for the breeding because it's ready to use for Russia, for Europe, or for that latitude. So I was with my father in all this expedition, and I began to ask myself, well, we are a subcenter of origin of potatoes. We import varieties from Europe, but the first variety, the oldest one, the OPA variety, was a Chilean one. So we should, in some way, export also some of our varieties outside. And then, when I was 12 years old, I said, okay, my dream is to do something with the potatoes and go worldwide. Worldwide.
Yeah, I see. First time when I see photo about your varieties, color varieties, it's maybe 4 year early. It's amazing for what different color for purple, for yellow. It's very interesting color, and I start to looking for your nature, for your work, and you post much more information about which varieties you may use in processing factory, and color not change. And for me, it's very interesting. So because yeah, I am agree with you. Europe C, it's maybe I said it's plastic varieties. Yeah, it's good size, good color. Yeah, but when you're testing, you eating didn't have some choice for testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Okay, you work with your father, and when you have idea for open company Papa's Arcoiris, yeah? It's color.
Arcoiris, yeah.
Yeah.
Arcoiris means rainbow. uh, and we said, okay, we will have almost all the colors of the rainbow in the potatoes. Look, I think in the year, no, it's not, I think, in the year 98, 1998, I come out of the university and I set up an internship in the HZPC in Holland, knowing how to make the practical breeding. Yeah, I spent time there. I made good friends there, and I had some knowledge to start with that. But I had the idea, the knowledge. Yeah, I had the potatoes, but I had to build all the breeding program, the crossings, the amount, the untarget market. And at that time, we had no clients. So you just crossed and you said, okay, what I do with that, all this, yeah. And I began to meet people. Some, and the main of our clients, it's located in Canada, the Little Potato Company, and they had a dream to have small potatoes, baby potatoes for the table market. And that was almost impossible at that time because in the breeding, you select for big potatoes. So we had to switch all the process, and that was my first client. Yeah, and that took close to 8 till 10 years to have a switch from big to small, and now we have varieties that produce a lot of small ones, more than 50 till 100 potatoes each plant this size, and you can have yields of above 50 tons per hectare. So that was a niche. Now it's not so a niche. In that process, I saw the colors also. And I said, okay, what we have in the colors, yeah, because colors should bring something, yeah. It's not only beautiful. All the potatoes are white or yellow, but what we do with the red flesh or with the blue flesh and all that, what have? So I start first working with a researcher of the US, and this he was in charge in functional products. So all that food that can bring an extra supplement or an extra addition to the food, more than carbohydrates or protein, maybe some health things. Yeah, and we found that in part of our breeding lines with color, we had some ingredients to reduce blood pressure, for example, or that the pigments were as healthy as the tomato antioxidant or the wine antioxidant. And we found also for the diabetics people some enzyme that didn't transform the starch to sugar, so they had no this sugar spikes in the blood. So we said, okay, we have some things, yeah. And I began to push more in that breeding, and the challenge was how to bring that to the people, yeah. How I can convince some guy that only go to the supermarket to buy potatoes that these are healthier than each other. And that was a big challenge because the people say nobody eats blue potato, for example. Nobody eats red potato. Yeah. And in the year 2000, 2010, that was so. I did try it in Chile. We sent that to the supermarket, and it was too young, that market. Yeah. So they were not ready. Yeah. But we insist in the breeding and begin to change the focus. We begin to concentrate more the pigments to the chips, because when you eat chips, you don't think how healthy is the chips. You just
I
enjoy
agree.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you enjoy, you drink beer, you have a great time, you have a barbecue, but you eat chips. You don't
yeah,
count the calories there.
yeah, yeah.
So then,
I know in South America it's most popular color chips, native Papa Nativa. Yeah, it's most
yeah,
popular chips in
yeah,
South America.
because they try it, and in the nativas, and especially in the Andes, you can find, but you have to scale with that. And the native potato, you cannot have 100 hectares or 1,000 hectares of that, because then you have problems of production, of stolen storage, sugar, that means the storage. So you have to build your new variety for the developed market, yeah, for the places where you store, yeah. Only in few places more close to the Ecuador worldwide, they don't store potatoes because they can produce all the year, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Russia, US, Europe, the main countries need to store from 3 months to 6, 7 months.
Yeah,
And if you want to make a process, the potato has to keep with the same quality. So that was the challenge, to bring the colors, something from the native potatoes, yeah, with the new potato lines. That means resistant, maturity, and storaging, and make the variety. And now we have variety that you can keep 10 months in storage with the colors. We are making the research with the university, and these colors have also antioxidant or armor healthy, or it's a different funny food. Finally, you you have to you need to have diversity. Today, you need to you enjoy the food, yeah. You don't
yeah,
only go to white puree or this type of food, or only big tomatoes. You like the cherry tomatoes, different colors. That is now in the diet. You want to have in your plate different colors.
yeah.
And
I'm agree, and you have know very good practice and very good cooperate with in North America. Yeah, with a company Little Potato.
yeah,
It's very interesting company. He produce a small color potato, but I think so different kitchen in all country. In my country, like eating big size potato. We didn't have salad potato, yeah, and but step by step, people understand you need eat not only energy. I mean kilocalorie. Yeah, we
yeah,
need so protein, vitamin, and much more important things in product. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I know your varieties. It's very good and quality and good for healthy. Yeah. Uh, Look, I know Chile, it's country, not big country, uh, if we speak Russia, Chile, yeah, but your country, it's much more place in mountain, yeah, and it's mountain country, I think so. And your country specificate for seeds, yeah, much more company who produce vegetable seeds. And what do you think about your company in Chile for import export varieties in other country? What do you do? I know you have program in Africa to help people processing varieties. Yeah, in Levan, if I don't mistake.
I work with Lebanon, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what do you think for place for Chilean market, and what you do, and what you need to think to do for varieties market in Chile?
Yeah. Look, Chile, as you said, is a mountain country, but we have valley. So it's a very narrow country with high mountains close to Argentina, but the other place to the sea, it's low level. So we are now here 100 meters above low level. So it's normal, yeah. Chile, it's a very open country, yeah. So it's like a testing country because we are so open to anything from outside that the people test here. You test cars, you test because you have all the brands of the market here. So we can also test in food or in colors. Yeah, every country says that his tradition is stronger. You mentioned that Russia only eat big potatoes. In the past, in Chile, they said they only eat the yellow flesh potato. Yeah, and now we are using colors, and that is normal. With the little potato company, they went to the U.S. market, yeah, and U.S. said we like only russet potato and big ones. Now you have red skin, yeah, and smaller sizes, and they are not so niche, yeah. So need a lot of work, and it's not from one moment to another because you have to bring attributes, yeah. But if Russia eats so many potatoes, and it's one of the top 10 countries eating potato per capita, you need a stronger work, and that depends on the market. If you want to be there, yeah, you have to have the variety. If we think in colors, for processing, you need to have the variety, test there, see how it works, make the production, and have the whole year supply. If you have small production for only 2 months, you will not build your population, yeah, eating the potato. So need time. And that happened, for example, with Chile with the color chips. It took close to 8 years, and now the people are used to see the color chips because are all the year. With the little potato company in the US or Canada, they had to supply the whole year because the small potatoes were new. Now everyone knows that is part of the food. Yeah. So you have to show the product, produce it all the year, keep the quality, and make new stuff, new foods. Yeah. Attract people to that. Yeah. Now, what you said about Chile as a seed country, it's it's true, but not true in potato. It's true in cereals, yeah, in carrots or horticulture, yeah. But in potato, you know that potato is a tricky crop because not every country allowed to bring potatoes because they are below ground. You you accept, or the countries accept, more seeds from above ground coming from flowers than below ground because you carry ground, yeah, or earth, yeah. So our export market as seed is very low. I would say almost nothing, yeah. In the past, we could export to Argentina. Now Argentina has its own seed program. In the past, we did export more to Brazil. Now Brazil have more problems, yeah, and so on. So the exporting of seeds for worldwide will become every time narrow and narrow because every country want to protect their health and knows that can come diseases from other countries. So how to improve that, in my case, is to make connections with countries where we develop the laboratories, selection program, and we bring there the breeding. And in every country, they have to start with a seed production. And if you see that worldwide, slowly is happening that every country is trying to produce its own seed. Even in Egypt, if you think in the past, Egypt almost had no seed production, and now is stronger and stronger. Yeah, every country is looking that because need to protect their own production. So the future in seed production will be local seed production. Yeah, and the variety, the challenge for us to put the varieties is how you make the connections with the country and exchange the variety, or you make a customized breeding program like we are doing with the Canada, with the Little Potato Company, where they have certain needs, and we focus on that. Yeah, and they have soon the varieties exclusive.
Yeah, I'm agree. And if we speak about breeding, I see Novaseed logotype in your outside, yeah, and it's in high level scientific branding company, yeah. What this company do, and what is results you want to wait to what do you result you want to result in with your company, Novaseeds? You understand what I mean?
I think I understand you, Victor. Novaseed first make is a small company, but a very big private, because almost all the breeding companies are cooperative or from the government or university. But if you think in private ones, I think there are not so many. So I think from the private ones, we are one of the big ones. Yeah. We have every year around 60,000 seedlings or new type of varieties that we test. And we have a main program. Yeah, we have clients here in Chile or outside that have a special need, and we focus the breeding for that: maturity, quality, double propose, environmental stress. Yeah, certain processing qualities. Yeah, health. Yeah, all are in specific programs for each customer. But also we have the main work that are focused for farmers here in Chile. Our main population compete, like in every country, in potato production very strong. But when you have small farmers, they cannot compete with big farmers. They cannot compete in fertilizers, in mechanization, yeah, in technology, because they cannot afford to invest that. And even worse, they have to compete using the same type of variety that was selected under all the inputs. So if you see the varieties we use now, we use varieties from the Netherlands, from Holland. So if we make an example, Asterix, a well-known variety, was selected with all the good inputs, all the maturity, all the technology, all the storing of seed, all of that, yeah, all the fertilization, all the pest control, and it's a top variety. But if you bring the same variety to small farmers, they don't get the same result. And they cannot supply everything. So we are working to have more resilient variety, more with the same shape, with the same quality, but with low input, you can compete with the big input. So the small farmer or the farmer that cannot improve or buy or afford all the big technology, he can also make money. And that is very important, because all the chain has to survive, not only the big ones.
Look, if we speak about domestic farmer, You're working in Chile a long time. I think you visit many country. I mean, do you see and speak with farmer how climate change in Chile? Yeah, because when I have potato trip in Russia, yeah, last year, I speak with farmer who visit big mountain Elbrus, and he said when I'm so younger, he's 60-year-old, and when he's younger, he visit one place and see only one agriculture in this place. 20 year early, he visit and see 5 agriculture. And when I visit Peru, I speak with Potato Papa Park and Potato Park, and people who grow in nativa wild varieties potato in mountain. He said we have fly in a high level mountain. Yeah, at what situation in Chile? How climate change?
It's a very good question because everyone talks about climate change, and that is real. Yeah. If you think what happened 20 years ago, it was completely different what happened 10 years ago. And from 10 years ago to now, we have also big difference. Yeah. We have one that is very clear and everyone talks. It's about the water supply. Now we have or too strong water in one moment, yeah, or we have no water in places that in the past we had rain, natural rain. This area, for example, 20 years ago, all the summertime, every week you had a rain. Now we have 2 months without water, and that is really heavy for every crop. But together with the rainfall, yeah, we have also disease pressure because with higher temperatures in cropping areas, with less rain, you can add and bring more crops to this area that in the past you didn't use that crops. And now these crops also carry other diseases, other insects. So you have a combination of new stuffs of things that nobody knows exactly. You have to have varieties that in the production should be more strong, more strong varieties, yeah, to resist some changes, but also have to have some resistant to diseases that were not so known in the past. Yeah, and there are simple diseases. Simple, I mean that were more common to see, but in a small amount. That now you have a big amount. For example, 20 years ago, a known variety, Spongospora subterranea, you know, or you have heard about Spongospora, poultry scab.
No.
Well, it's a disease that is only in the skin, yeah,
Mhm.
and can stay in the soil more than 10 years and only affect the skin, but make a very ugly skin, yeah. In the 20 years ago, you had only a few spots, but now with less rain or with heavy rain only in some places, bringing new variety that produce early, that need more water supply, and you have higher temperature, we have a lot of these diseases, and now it's very difficult for seed certification because it's a very difficult disease. In other places, you can have, for example, more Pectobacterium. Depending on the soil, bringing new varieties, needing more irrigation, you see a lot of problems of Pectobacterium. Or in Lebanon, where I was, you have huge problems with verticillium, diseases that affect the roots, depending on the soil, the type of variety that have no so strong roots. you need to bring more water, and then you build the environment for the disease. So all this climate change is affecting a lot. So you have to work specific for the place and bring the solution, and that can be done. Not every variety can work. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I have a finalized question. You actively participate in international forum, yeah, including in Russia. Which countries inspired you, and what ideas would you like to abort or scale up?
I have been in several countries, and I think, and every country have something special. Yeah. And it's difficult to see to say which inspired me more, because I go frequent to Canada and I see how big is the market and how many possibilities you can do with different things. Yeah. In Europe, you see the new technology using robotics and all that is really surprising. And for example, last time I was in Russia, I was impressed the size of the farmers, the production, and the big of the market, but still a lot of things to do. Yeah, the industrialization can be one of the biggest country in the world. I think Russia have all the chances to export all the Asia and Arabic countries and be the main the supply of seed and processing. Yeah, I think Russia could double or triple their size if they process more. Yeah, and I think there is a challenge on that. I think in this moment the there is a market that it's more or less stable but going down, that are fresh potatoes. And now that is a rule. To change that rule is very difficult because the young people want to just cook and not peel. And that is simple. Yeah. And if you try to say another thing, that is not real. So you have to adapt. Yeah. And the adaptation is that we have to bring new things with good quality, tasty, because now I think the taste is something important, or more important than 20 years ago, that was not taste, it was only food. Taste, health, protein, for example, ingredients, products that are ready to use and go everywhere. Yeah, because even Russia, that is big, maybe for niche market, it's too small for Russia. But if you process, you can go to China, you can go to all Kazakhstan or that places, and you can have a very big market because you have the world. Yeah, I think now the countries have to think that they have to go to the world, and that was something very smart that the Dutch people, the Holland, did do. They were so tiny country, and they think our market is the world, not the country.
Look, Boris, finalized question. If we speak about young people, I think, what do you think for future? For 5-10 years, what situation for potato market? What people like to eat in color potato? Maybe French fries, chips, maybe flakes. What do you think for the future? For 5 or 10 years later?
I think all the type of semi-processed or processed will take more part of the market than fresh. In fresh, you will always use it, but you will keep the fresh market if it's tastier, yeah, and if can bring an additional of something, yeah, or decoration of plate, from decoration of plates to health things, because we will have two things in the future. A lot of young people that are in this generation, yeah, they want to have ready to cook things, but we will have all the old people that want to live more, and they know that if they eat a Mediterranean food where they have more diversity, more colors that brings the diversity, they can have a healthier life in older times. So I think that the normal yellow potato or red skin yellow flesh will have will go down that market for fresh potatoes. The processing will increase, yeah.
Yeah.
But for fresh potatoes, you have to bring diversity, because the people will begin to choose for new things, especially if you focus on health and taste. I think that will steer the market. The market.
Yeah. Boris, thank you for your time, and thank you for your love for potato. I'm glad to see you, and for me it's very important to have good friend in another side of Earth, in South America, in Chile, and if it's possible, I want to see you in this year. I don't know, maybe in Russia, in Europe, in Turkey, in South America, in Earth, yeah, maybe in Mars.
Maybe, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe in Mars. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor. Nice to talk with you.